All right, push 1 in the chat if you can hear me. All right, thank you for that confirmation. Welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 599, Black Pandemic Talk. Please hit the like button as you come in and share the video if possible, and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. There's a doc in the description of the video for you to follow along with. If you want to engage in the discussion, there'll be a link in the chat for you to click on. When you click on the link, make sure you raise your hand so that one of us can acknowledge you and advance you to the panel. The link has been dropped. And give a shout out to the people who showed up first. Liam Johnson, salute to you. Black Scorpion, peace. Deuce X, peace. Wacky Roller O, shalom. All right, just give me a second. Let me set this up real quick. All right, so first item on the docket is from Face to Face Africa. This 12-year-old invented a homemade device to help practice proper social distancing. This young black male. I like his shirt too, definitely dope. Social distancing is one of the critical measures recommended by the public health officials in slowing the spread of the deadly coronavirus. Since it was first detected in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the novel coronavirus has infected over 16 million people globally, recording over 600,000 deaths. Described by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as staying away from gatherings and keeping a distance of 6 feet or 2 meters away from people, a 12-year-old genius has now come up with an invention that will help people in practicing social distancing to the letter. Keyshawn Harris' incredible homemade invention named SAM, Social Distancing Machine, beeps when people are closer than recommended 6 feet, TMZ reports. So let's play the clip here.
Well, this is SAM, the social awareness machine, and well, I mean, SAM usually is like it keeps you apart from like someone from 6 feet, or else it ends up annoyingly beeps and screams at you with unpleasant sounds. So, okay. So basically, if I just turn, there it is. So if you just turn it on, if you're walking near someone or something, it's then gonna go off or whatever.
So
depending on how close I am.
if something's 6 feet in front of you, it beeps. How do you turn it off?
Well, I mean, you just have to switch this.
Okay, so that's how you turn it off. So this is basically a machine that you made to monitor people are staying at least 6 feet away from each other, right?
Yeah.
Wow. The recent graduate of Montessori charter school, a rising 7th grader is preparing to attend Luther Memorial Academy next month. A GoFundMe page has been started by Harris's father, seeking support from the public to ensure the young genius who aspires to become an entrepreneur and engineering wizard get the best of the education. Harris joins the likes of 13-year-old Falls Church native in Virginia, Charles Randolph, in the fight to combat the deadly coronavirus pandemic in the United States. As the numbers of confirmed and suspected cases in the United States increased, Randolph got worried and decided he needed to contribute his quota to efforts aimed at stemming the spread. Randolph's passion to help humanity led him to the start of production of masks using his parents' 3D printer and donating them amid the COVID-19 fears. I saw on the news that high-risk patients, people with existing diseases like heart problems and asthma, I thought this would help them, said Randolph. Yeah, I'm going to play it again because I think this is really important. People understand this is the future of Black society.
Well, this is Sam, the social awareness machine, and well, I mean, Sam usually is like it keeps you apart from like someone from 6 feet, or else it ends up annoyingly beeps and screams at you with unpleasant sounds. So, okay. So basically, if I just turn, oh wait, oh there it is. So if you just turn it on, if you're walking near someone or something, it's not gonna go off or whatever.
So
depending on how close I am.
if something's 6 feet in front of you, it beeps. How do you turn it off?
Well, I mean, oh, you just have to switch this.
Okay, so that's how you turn it off. So this is basically a machine that you made to monitor people are staying at least 6 feet away from each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is dope. What a hero, man. What a hero. So what I'm gonna.
What up, Mike?
What's up, man?
Montessori grad, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were the ones who said, who spoke to the benefits of a Montessori education, particularly for Black males. I think that was us who said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
What's up, fellas?
They're going.
What's going on?
Not much. I got a couple minutes before I got to clock back in, but I had to just step up here for a second. One, to just affirm what it is that I think we had said a little over a year ago when we did the Montessori live stream.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we particularly said how beneficial this would be, particularly for Black males. And here we go, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
He's playing chess too.
Huh?
He's playing chess. In that
Yeah.
picture, he's playing chess.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what Montessori build. This is the type of Black males Montessori educations build. Right? I am such a firm, staunch believer in this. And this right here is a case study. I only had a couple minutes, gentlemen. I got to break out, but man, I just had to commit in this young brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Agreed. And Mike, you're absolutely correct about this guy being a hero.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, well, people, you know, people don't take this stuff seriously. This is how I got started, man. This is exactly how I got started. So when I hear people say, man, educated lame and all this other stuff, man, this is, this dude is the future, man. And you got people who don't take this stuff seriously enough, man. There should be 100 people up in here, man, seeing this type of demonstration of excellence. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to donate right now. Actually, let me drop the link in the chat so everybody else can donate.
There we go.
Let me drop that link in the chat.
There we go.
You know, oh man, I think this is too big. I think the link might be too big. Let me know if the link works for everyone else. If not, I'm going to post it on the community tab anyways.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I think we need to watch the video one more time because why not?
Let it rip.
Well, this is Sam, the social awareness machine, and well, I mean, Sam usually is like it keeps you apart from like someone from 6 feet, or else it ends up annoyingly beeps and screams at you with unpleasant sounds. So, okay. So basically, if I just turn, oh wait, there it is. So if this is turned on, if I walk near someone or something, it's then gonna be going off or whatever.
So
Depending on how close I am.
if something's 6 feet in front of you, it beeps. How do you turn it off?
Well, I mean, oh, you just have to switch this.
Okay, so that's how you turn it off. So this is basically a machine that you made to monitor people are staying at least 6 feet away from each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's excellence, man. Straight excellence up in there. What do you think is gonna happen when he gets his hand on some coding, man? Some Python or something like that?
This guy's gonna take off like a rocket. This guy's gonna take off like a fucking rocket, like an MX missile, man. If you put some real tech in front of this guy, it's a wrap.
I mean, look, let me play part of the video and pause it.
This is Sam, the social awareness machine, and well, I mean, Sam usually is like it keeps you apart from like someone from 6 feet, or else it ends up annoyingly beeps and screams at you with unpleasant sounds. So, okay. So basically, if I just turn, oh wait, there it is. So if this is turned on, if I walk near someone or something, it's then gonna be going off or whatever.
So
Depending on how close I am.
if something's
I want you all to pay. Let me expand my look at all the circuitry in here, man. You got two sensors here. You got an on and off toggle switch. You got a digital display at the bottom. There's a battery in there somewhere. I mean, you got LED lights in there. This is, most guys in the manosphere can't even tie their shoes, man, walking around with Velcro straps, man. Gets to keep their sneakers on.
Hey, Mike, how
We did a live stream yesterday talking about, cats is highly finished, man. Oh man. This little device right here, this is not simple to put together. He's 12.
How old is this young man? How old is he?
12.
He's what?
12.
That's game right there. That's game. That's some real game.
Yeah. You
So-
got guys running with shalom, bro. You got guys running around the manosphere talking about game, man. Like, yo, this is real. This is real, man.
Listen,
You
listen.
Put some real training behind this kid. It's over. Go ahead, fam. Go ahead.
Listen. If we really care about the thinking black man, then everybody in the black manosphere should be putting their little donation money and their little Cash App donations and donate something to this kid's education.
It's going right there, right now, fams.
Same here. I'm giving.
I'm
Listen,
popping.
my hard-earned money is going to go to this kid's education.
I'm about to drop 100 right now. I'm about to drop 100 right in his donations.
Yeah, we gonna pop.
Super chats going off in the manosphere over game and how to get women and Mr.
I mean, listen, I may make a video about this, and I'm going to tell the black manosphere, so-called black manosphere, you better put some money behind this kid's education. And if you don't, then screw you.
I think it's for the project, if I remember correctly. I think
for the project, right?
I think that's what the GoFundMe page is about. Let me see. Oh, pay for his private school? Oh, no problem. Let me refresh the page.
Yeah. We gonna hit that.
Oh, he just hit 425. What was it? Yeah, 3 people just don't. People are donating, man. I think it was just 11,000. Now it's up to 425. People are dropping some C notes up there. So
yeah.
Let me stop sharing my screen so I could drop something in there real quick.
He highly butter 12 years old, gee, Manetti. Wow. That's really good. That's really good. It's really good.
Mhm.
But we have talents. We have natural talents towards this.
Mhm.
Only thing it has to be is to be nurtured. You know what I'm saying? Wacky world. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have natural talents towards this. Only thing we have to do is nurture it. That's the name of the game. That's what a lot of people don't want you to do. They don't want you to nurture this.
That's what we gotta do. We gotta nurture and help hone these skills and turn the potential into actual skills to master anything in life.
That's right, bro. That's right,
Yeah.
fam.
Yeah, refresh that page, man. Tell me what the dollar donation is at now.
Hold on, because I'm about to drop 50 in there. Hold on. Yeah.
Some of these cats need to be cut $1.50 up in here.
Yeah. Where is he out of, Mike? Where?
PA.
What area?
It's out of PA.
Down PA.
Mhm. What a dope cat, man.
12 years old.
He should be well protected, man. He should be driving around in armored cars and everything, making sure he don't get nothing happens to him, man. All right, let's move on, man. Let me know what the the status update is on the page. I want to see how much we contributed to in the last 30 minutes.
This kid's butter light.
Yeah.
This kid's finally butter light.
All right, next item on the docket is from CNN.com. First phase 3 clinical trial of a coronavirus vaccine in the United States begins. The first phase 3 clinical trial of the coronavirus vaccine in the United States began Monday. The investigational vaccine was developed by the biotechnology company Moderna in the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, part of the National Institute of Health. The trial is to be conducted at nearly 100 U.S. research sites, according to Moderna. The first patient was dosed at a site in Savannah, Georgia. The trial was expected to enroll about 30,000 adult volunteers and evaluates the safety of the Moderna NIH vaccine and whether it can prevent symptomatic COVID-19 after 2 doses, among other outcomes. Volunteers will receive either 2 100 microgram injections of the vaccine or a placebo of about 28 days apart. Investigators and participants will not know who has received the vaccine. Results from a phase 1 trial of the vaccine published earlier this month in the New England Journal of Medicine found it induced immune responses in all of the volunteers and was generally safe. It had mild side effects, including fatigue, chills, headache, muscle pain at the injection site. A phase 1 study typically studies a small number of people and focuses on whether a vaccine is safe and elicits an immune response. In phase 2, this clinical study is expanded and the vaccine is given to people who have characteristics such as age and physical health, similar to those for whom the new vaccine is intended. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention, in phase 3, the vaccine is given to thousands of people and tested for efficacy and, again, for safety. So it's pretty quick to have a phase 3 and at this time. Any thoughts on this, Nicole?
Oh no. As far as I think they're moving along pretty fast. But my understanding, the fastest vaccine that we ever came out with was the mumps and the measles vaccine, and it took a total of I think maybe 3 years for that to come out. They said that was like the fastest that we've ever had. So right now, the movements that are being made on this virus is very fast. So I don't know what to say. I just think that we're moving at some breakneck speeds, Now, this is one thing I wanted to ask you, Mike, because I didn't know if you were aware of this or anybody else, maybe Wacky World may know, or maybe maybe someone else. But the Chinese are claiming that they have a vaccine that's current and kind of ready to go. What's the truth to this? Are they accurate with this at all? I know the Cubans were talking about that they had helped them with this or something, and the information is really wonky. I'm not really getting a clear handle on
says
it.
they have something. Everybody says they have something. So it's just a matter of whether or not what they have is effective or not. So the Cubans had a treatment for COVID. They didn't have the vaccine. They had a treatment.
I know they had a. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, they had a treatment, and that it's not an actual vaccine. So their treatment is actually effective, from what I understand. China, with all their biomedical and industrialization, it doesn't surprise me that they have something. Now, whether or not it's impactful, no one knows, because no one else is going to be testing that because they don't trust it, right? They don't trust it. So, everybody is kind of responsible for their own sort of vaccine and treatment state-wise, right? They're kind of responsible for coming up with their own sort of solution. Now, the recent response has been that, the Russians are stealing, vaccine intellectual patents and stuff like that. There's no way to really verify these sort of things. So these claims, come out of Western media, not so much out of state-run media from the from China and so on and so forth.
Mike, as far as the GoFundMe page is concerned, it's now $11,586 donated.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next item on the docket. We got Nicole Ali in the chat as well. If you want to come up, you feel free to come up. All right, let me move on to the next item on the docket.
Okay, Mike, I know you're moving on, but as far as the last, the prior article, do you think that people right now are rushing a little bit in order to find a vaccine? Because reason why I'm asking is because I remember Dr. Fauci, he was stating back in February or March that it'll take up to a year for anyone to officially come out with an official vaccine that's open to the public, due to the fact that it takes really up to a year of testing. So do you think right now a lot of people are in a rush to just find a vaccine that's going to cure people of COVID?
That's pretty much along the lines. I work in pharma myself, and so it's kind of similar to what we're seeing as well. It's not uncommon that small firms and big firms are actually collaborating to come up with a vaccine. I think, you're definitely not going to see anything official until 2021. So a year from now, that does make a lot of sense. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I don't know how Moderna was able to get through phase 1 and phase 2 so quickly. It's only been 90 days. That's a really quick time to a really quick turnaround time. Usually a phase 1 might go 60 days or something like that, 45 to 60 days. And then you're talking phase 2, that might go for another 45 or 60 days. So you're already talking a half a year already. You're already talking 180 days. And then you're talking phase 3, that might go, another few months, another 90 days or so. So you're talking 9 months. So you're talking about a whole year before something would be on the market in this capacity. Nicole Ali is saying in the chat, said, I don't know how they did that either. I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, because it's going pretty quick. It seems like governments are being very desperate and putting a lot of pressure. I'm just, it seems like that to me. It's putting a lot of pressure on the pharmaceutical industry to rush when it comes to finding an official cure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because these phases going by so fast. It's, oh my gosh.
Or somebody just wants to get to the top. Right. So
Exactly.
someone has the ambitions of getting to the top of the chain of vaccines, right? To be the first one out the gate, boost the stock price of their company if they're
Right.
traded.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. To me, it should be illegal to actually say that what phase you're in, right? You shouldn't even be able to talk about that stuff publicly. You should just say we're working on something and that's it. I mean, that should be the end of it. You shouldn't say, well, we're in phase 3, because what that does is, if it's publicly traded company, stock fucking prices went right through the roof.
Exactly.
That should be illegal, man. But because what it does is it also impacts the other publicly traded companies.
That's right.
Yeah, so anyways, let me get to this next item on the docket from fastcompany.com. I'm an emergency doctor. Here are the 5 most harmful myths about COVID-19 testing. Oh, this is going to be a doozy. As the coronavirus crisis rages across the U.S., reaching new record daily highs some 4 months into the pandemic, the country is still struggling to create a coordinated nationwide testing system. With cases skyrocketing in dozens of states, the need for adequate testing has never been more dire. Meanwhile, spurred by fear and confusion, misinformation about COVID-19, testing continues to spread in step with the virus. As an emergency room physician and medical director providing COVID-19 care since the start of the pandemic, I encounter this daily from concerned patients. Here are the 5 of the most damaging myths about testing in the United States. Myth number 1, COVID-19 test results aren't accurate. This coronavirus is new and we are still in the early days of understanding how the disease is diagnosed and transmitted. It's true that fumbles by both the FDA and the CDC at the start of the pandemic made early tests invalid. Offers to sell unauthorized tests from around the world inundated our spam folders and further put into question tested accuracy, as the FDA warned us not to purchase these tests. However, much has changed since those early days. Although no medical test is 100% accurate, the coronavirus swab tests come close for those who test positive. The FDA authorized multiple swab and saliva collection tests that are highly specific and reliably confirm if you're actively infected with COVID-19. If you test positive, you have been correctly identified as having the disease. However, the same can't be said for testing negative. In that case, there is a 2% to 29% chance that you're actually infected. Why? The dearth of the clinical real-world studies means that we don't know the exact likelihood of false negative results. The range will narrow as more data becomes available, but we know you may test negative if you're tested too soon after exposure to the virus. If the sample is not collected properly, or if the test isn't sensitive enough to identify traces of the virus in your sample. To ensure as accurate a result as possible, it's important to only get an FDA authorized test. In contrast, when it comes to blood antibody testing, only a negative test result is useful. These tests can very reliably determine that you've never been exposed to or mounted an immune response to coronavirus. However, a positive result isn't conclusive. No test can definitely confirm that you have been exposed to the coronavirus. Many find this information meaningless, since a negative test means you remain susceptible to infection, and a positive test isn't reliable enough to provide peace of mind that you're unlikely to be reinfected. Here's a guide to interpreting your results. So there's a link to that. Myth number 2, The U.S. leads the world in testing. The White House has repeatedly claimed that the U.S. leads the world in testing, an assertion that isn't true in any meaningful way. The U.S. has one of the lowest testing rates among developed countries and ranks only in the middle of the pack worldwide. As of July 19, 2020, the U.S. performed about 12 tests per confirmed positive patient, as compared to New Zealand, 369, Australia, 304, Taiwan, 175, South Korea, 105, Italy, 26, Canada, 32, the United Kingdom, 27, South Africa, 7, Iran, 8, and Mexico, 2. Moreover, our high case fatality rate, 4.5% of patients who test positive, compared to 2.16% in South Korea and 1.26% in Australia, also demonstrates how the U.S. isn't testing enough of its population. Because the case fatality rate should be similar across countries, that means that the U.S. isn't accurately capturing the number of infected people. Our testing shortfalls endures despite the widely accepted understanding that we are grossly undercounting COVID-19 deaths by 28%. I never understood this whole entire testing thing in terms of why they aren't testing, and even something, beyond COVID, HIV testing, AIDS testing, things like that. Why don't we just test everybody? That's not, everybody between the ages of 18 and 55 should be tested. I think that should be the standard. But somehow, some way, people push back against this. The government is pushing back against this, and yet people keep getting infected. It's like, yo, what's going on here, man? Like, the government doesn't seem to really want to be proactive, and then people are like, no, I have my civil liberties, and it's like, no, everybody should be tested. That's how it should be. That's how it should be in a technocratic society.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
People also in America, a lot of people also hold to the belief that COVID-19 doesn't really exist, and that it's just a lie from the United States government to purposely infect people. So when you have a grown number of people who believe in this conspiracy theory, that's not going to motivate them to get testing, because in their minds, it doesn't really exist. And that's sort of, well, that's not sort of, it's very dangerous for people to think that way, especially when people are dying from this virus. It's very dangerous for people to think that way. So I just think also people have to be more factual, or concentrate on actual facts. If that's your theory, if that's what you believe, where are the facts to back it up? Now, if there's no facts to back it up, in which there is none, then you have to acknowledge that this virus exists and that you must be tested.
You see, what you just said is the biggest freaking problem that we have here in this country. This is what that's why I don't blame the conspiracy theorists or some of these other miscreants running around saying dumb, stupid shit. I can't blame them, because if you're nuts out here and you don't know what's going on, you're gonna say dumb shit. But the facts of the matter that really talk about and describe this disease has not properly gotten down, still even at this extraordinary late date and time, down to the general public the way it needs to be. And you've got people talking about mannequins in beds, and these guys are counting them as dead and all. You've got the dumbest shit going on that is insane. And I cannot blame the jokers coming up here talking that. They're just jokers. They're literally just jokers and jesters in the court. The kings, if you will, have to bring down the proper information. And that is our issue. What this brother just said, that's the problem. The information from the top has not properly gotten down to everyone else. And it's left so much wide open that you have all these incredible speculations that are just insane. But yet the disease rises on, people are dying. You can go into these hospitals. Okay, is it fake? Well, go over there, man. To the Florida General or whatever. Go down there, or go run out to out to California. Out in California. Or San Fran and these areas, and check out what's going on in their general hospitals and so forth. And then you'll find out and just start asking questions and see what's going on. I mean, it's insane. But that I blame the people up top, literally from your president, who is vastly overwhelmed and totally unsuited for his position dealing with this. This is a war, as we said. It's very important for information to be correct. Hasn't happened. And then I'm going to say the ball has been dropped in certain areas. The NIH, the CDC, and so forth. They haven't been on this. I know they're dealing with it, but as far as getting this information out all the way and seeing to it that there's no craziness leaking out on the sides like madness is going on, that hasn't happened right. So I do blame it. Comes down from the proper federal response and then down to the local to the local. It's I can give none of it really a passing grade. It's unbelievable the amount of the crazy information that has come out. You don't have these conspiracy theories in South Korea. You don't have them in Vietnam, Singapore, and these areas who've had remarkable responses to this. You don't have it in Germany. You don't have this kind of stuff being talked over there, but you have it here. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me finish reading this, man. Myth number 3: kids don't need to get tested. While children are less susceptible to COVID-19, they can still catch the disease and spread it to others, though not as efficiently as adults do. Since kids are less likely to wear masks and wash their hands properly or socially distance sufficiently from others, testing them is even more critical if they are exposed to or exhibit symptoms of the virus. Children typically are present with slightly different symptoms like headache, rash, and in rare cases, blood vessel inflammation called pediatric inflammatory multisystem syndrome, PIMS, which further complicates the complex puzzle of COVID-19's impact on them. As an emergency room physician, I've had the misfortune of informing parents of their children's positive diagnosis. Despite kids' relative resilience to the disease, a small mercy of this pandemic, it remains difficult news to deliver. Since many viruses in kids appear the same and there are no clinical criteria that can be used alone to diagnose COVID-19, widespread testing remains critical to assess whether an unwell child has COVID-19. Myth number 4: anyone who wants to get a test can get a test. On March 6, 2020, President Trump told reporters that anybody that needs a test gets a test. A false contention both then and now. The commercial laboratories that run more than half of the nation's tests warn that they'll take longer to process them because soaring test demand is far outpacing processing capability. Beyond the supply problem, there are also infrastructure issues, namely healthcare deserts across America that face a lack of access to testing facilities and lack of capacity at overwhelmed community hospitals. Well, I thought this was a first world nation. And in Africa, they don't have running water. They have a 3% literacy rate. I thought, this was a superpower. You got super deserts all over the place. Healthcare droughts, infrastructure droughts.
Mike, you know what? Mm-hmm. That's the fault of the people killing each other in Chicago. It's their fault. They're killing each other in Chicago. That's why there's a health desert.
Yeah. If we just have more traditional families,
Oh my gosh, you guys are too much.
If people stop sagging, if Black people stop sagging their pants, maybe there'll be less healthcare deserts.
Yeah, that is true. If they were a little bit less niggerish, stop acting like niggas.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
In April, Harvard University Center for Ethics published its bipartisan finding that the U.S. would need to deliver 5 million tests per day by early June to deliver a safe social reopening. On July 19th, the U.S. performed 768,000 tests, a fraction of the 20 million daily tests the same report cites as necessary, ideally by late this month, to fully remobilize the economy. Despite the staggering shortfall, many states have reopened half-heartedly resulting in the current stage that continues to break daily records. While the FDA is approving a slew of the new tests that are quickly coming to the market, current testing availability and accessibility still cannot keep pace with the rampant spread of the virus. That's why it's crucial to focus on prevention efforts to flatten the curve as the industry struggles to provide adequate testing resources. Yeah. I mean, with all this technology we have, man, we should have already had, the most advanced devices, man. IoT, Internet of Things, a device that, can prick the tip of your finger like a diabetes test or something like that, and collect your saliva and be able to process that in real time, and send it up to the cloud and have it processed there and give you results via a text message or something like that. That's the way how it should be done. That's the way how it should be done. All right, this is the last one right here. Myth number 5, testing fewer people will decrease the number of COVID-19 cases. On numerous occasions, President Trump has posited that less testing would show fewer cases and reduce the number of infections. He's reiterated this dangerous misinformation at rallies and press briefings, despite the fact that the confirmed cases nationwide reached 3 million on July 8th. And in just...
This is your commander-in-chief saying this? I mean, people, this is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Mike, just go ahead, man. Wow.
And in just a week, are nearing 3.5 million on July 15th, roughly a quarter of the world's total. Hard-hit states, including Texas and Florida, edge closer to running out of ICU beds. Though the president continues to parrot false assertions designed to downplay the alarming breadth of the coronavirus crisis, the truth remains unassailable. Fewer tests will not result in fewer cases. On the contrary, less testing will ultimately lead to more cases of COVID-19 as people unknowingly transmit the disease to others, perhaps chalking up their shortness of breath to asthma or their coughing and fatigue to allergies. We've seen this scenario play out in countries where testing lags while deaths escalate, such as Mexico and Brazil. Look at the countries that have successfully mitigated COVID-19 spread, including South Korea, New Zealand, and Italy. It's clearer than ever that widespread, readily available testing should be our #1 priority if the U.S. hopes to stop this scourge of this once-in-a-century disease. Yeah, just don't test anybody, then the numbers will go down.
I mean, you literally have to be retarded.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be retarded to say that. You have to be retarded. You're not. Your IQ has got to be that of an amoeba. I don't. How could anybody say this? This is your commander-in-chief making these kind of statements. I mean, this is. I find this horrifying. This man has blood on his hands. This was the disease of the century. You had to have the right man in place to deal with this properly. You had to have the right person in place. That person wasn't there. Just look at what's going on right now.
Yeah, let's
go ahead. I'm sorry. Wow.
Let's go to HVAC guy. He has his hand raised.
HVAC.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Going on?
All right. I was actually just listening and everything, and trying to figure out how I'm gonna get my particular response because it's just a clusterfuck of information, and unfortunately, it's kind of on both sides, which the CDC and the president, which is kind of allowing people to form their own theories. Yeah. That's the problem. So, and it's feeding itself, and actually, the CDC looks almost more like they're not doing something right because you're testing, but where is this going? So you're starting to make the president look like he's right because he's saying, hey, more testing means more, so is this false positives? Are you doing this based on acidity? It's different rumors like, oh, this false positives because it's based on acidity levels or all these, the mass, right? So Why aren't we with masks that allow us to get more carbon dioxide out of our bodies? You know, this is becoming an issue. So you leave this stuff up to conjecture when you put out on both sides information. Honestly, the CDC is so bad. It made the president. It made President Trump look like he's telling the truth on mistake. It's a weirdness going on, and it's just being allowed to, at the civilian level, to be made up whatever they want to. It's a really doesn't have to be like this. It's like this on purpose, and we got a school issue. We got the babies going back. We don't, you know, from a plumbing and heat and air conditioning standpoint, I thought that we was going to be getting all these contracts to go back to school. We was going to, you know, all these water towers and different, you know, chilling facilities. We're going to put these high, you know, filters in. We're going to change your water system so that you have more alkaline water. So every time the kids touch the water fountain, they're getting water that's more alkaline than diluted or whatever. You know what I mean? You don't hear none of this. So and this is where the CDC is supposed to come in at. And that's why all these theories are coming up. And it's almost like the people sound right and the CDC sounds wrong. And then the CDC does nothing, and then it backs up President Trump. That's all I got to say. It's a weirdness.
You hit it right in the head. I was saying that before, HVAC guy. I was saying the information the highway, or how this information is coming down, is totally screwed. It's screwed from the top. Literally, you called it a clusterfuck of information. That is exactly what it is. President, absolutely, these guys fumble. This was a disease of the century, and they fumbled the ball horribly. And all the other agencies, from the CDC, NIH, WHO. I mean, I don't care who, I don't care who it is. Everyone's kind of here, they're there, and there's no coordinated. Nothing is coordinated. Nothing is coordinated at all. Not the same information is coming out of any situation, of any of these groups that are the same, speaking to this situation. And you've left all of this room for miscreants, fools, idiots, jokers, sucker lades, all types coming out of the ground, emerging from under rocks and shit, coming up saying whatever the fuck. And it's like, and what does that lead to? It ultimately leads to people not wearing masks, not protecting themselves, saying that this is what and it's adding to the danger. When the postmortem is done on this, when we finally get past this, whenever year that will be, and the postmortem is done on this, this is gonna look horrible. I mean, we already know this is bad, but the postmortem,
it's driving down our dollar. It's driving down all the money. Silver's up. Something's wrong when silver's up like it is. So, globally, is silver?
Yeah, let's go to Wacky World O. He has his hand raised.
Once again, like I said before, when you hear these types of statements, one has to be objective enough to look for the facts to see if the facts coincide with the theory. Mm-hmm. And as far as Mike, the prior article that Mike put, the facts don't go along with the statement of the fewer testing, the less cases we're going to have, because the prior article that Mike put, it showed that the U.S. amongst all developed nations has the lowest testing, but yet have about 1/4 of the world's coronavirus cases.
Coronavirus cases?
Yeah. So the less testing, the facts show that the less testing, the more cases.
Absolutely.
So
and absolutely. I mean, how retarded can you be? I mean, Wacky, this is the shit that I cannot fathom. I cannot fathom what's going on right now. It's beyond reason. I mean, this is beyond logic. I find this unfathomable.
Nagon, you ever been in a position, and the rest of you brothers, you haven't been in the position where you hear something so stupid, you actually question, is this real? Did someone really just say that? And you conflicted in your mind that, hold up, this can't be real. This got to be some sort of joke.
That's been my whole thing here.
Yeah.
That's in my whole thing here. But let's look at South Korea. Like I said, let's look at Germany. Let's look at Vietnam. Let's look at Singapore. I mean, we can go on for hundreds of countries that have done well with this. And look at us. I mean, the rest of the world is like, oh, you're American. I don't know if we want you coming up in here. That's what they're saying.
What it looks like.
This is beyond. It's beyond comprehension to me. I
It's
swear to
insane.
God, this is beyond comprehension.
It's
I'm
insane.
done.
What it looks like is, as far as with Trump, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, he's more concerned about the state of the economy. So he wants to paint this picture that, you know, everything's okay, everything's all right. Man, listen, don't worry about what these doctors are saying. Don't worry about what these medical professions are saying. This is all, quote unquote, fake news. You know, and he's saying that in order to calm the people down in hopes that the economy opens back up and more people are less hesitant to invest their money in the stock markets and for the economy to keep on running. That's what he is about.
The stock market's doing okay. Okay,
Yeah.
It's Main Street. Where's Main Street at?
Right.
And that's the whole. And that's our problem. And how are you going to get Main Street going when you're trying to open up, and then people are getting, and then all of a sudden sicknesses are going up, and now you're pressed, and now you're putting immense pressure on your healthcare system that's not even designed to deal with this. I mean, you've got pro ball players that they're trying to open up coming down with the disease, for Christ's sakes. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, I swear.
Right, but how long are we supposed to be sitting in the house? I mean, it started back in what, March or something. So, what's the overall? Hold on, let me say this. What's the overall plan? You know, so you got to cut a UBI check at this point or something. Okay, if people want to go back in, we take this serious, cool. But it looked like the CDC not taking it serious. Where's your UBI so people can stay in the home? Where's your real protection for tenants? We got a problem. We got a bunch of people homeless, and this is a real thing. And we coming in the fall in two months or so. Everybody's gonna be sick. There's gonna be a bunch of people just around. Remember, we got police problems. We got a lot. They're not working more. They're working less. So we won't really know, and that's the problem, which it keeps leaving it up to conjecture.
Yeah, let me
okay, I just want to say this very quickly. I'm going to say this very quickly. See, this is what I would do. If we're going to sit here and start renditioning people and putting your troops out here, I would put our troops right now in every municipality that we have and force people to go get tested right now. Right now. Have our testing centers up right now and force almost everybody to get tested. If you don't get tested, your ass is going to be damn near put in fucking jail. And have everybody fucking tested and have these tests back within 48 hours to 56 hours. Have that shit in and done and move this thing up very quickly so we can get this country tested within the next 3 weeks, the whole goddamn fucking nation. All right? Take the shit like a goddamn army, like a fucking war, and literally handle it from that perspective. And then whatever tests that we don't have, ship them in, get them from wherever we can to make sure we can meet the demand for these freaking tests right now and test everyone, test everybody. So now we'll know who's sick, who is it, and then we can begin to start to move from there, which we did not do in the first 90 days that this thing was supposed to happen in. Didn't happen. Okay. Now we're gonna have to make people do it. That's what I think. Literally mobilize your forces to make this thing happen. That's what we have to do. Okay, or this thing ain't gonna fucking open up anytime soon. That's what they don't want to bite the bullet with this. Anyway, I'm done. Go ahead.
All right, last item on the docket is from menshealth.com. I fought COVID both. I'm sorry, there's fucking idiots out there lighting up fireworks, man. I fought COVID both as a Black doctor and a patient. Joseph Galen, MD 31, became a doctor to build more trust among patients in underserved communities. He's seen firsthand why Black men deserve more doctors. This was sent in by, how did I forget this brother's name? Ray Alexander. So thank you to Ray for sending this. Around March, COVID cases progressed overseas and started hitting New York. That's when we started trying to protect ourselves in the ER. I was an ER resident at New York Presbyterian Hospital, where I worked between its campuses at Columbia University Irving Medical Center and Weill Cornell Medical Center. We were fortunate to have a pretty decent supply of PPE, including masks and gowns, which allowed us to protect ourselves the best we could. But I was in the ER on a daily basis, where each day the number of patients increased significantly. We would see upwards of 50 patients a day who were sick enough to be hospitalized. And it was about a month later that I started to develop these headaches, which was weird. I never get headaches. They continued for about 3 days in a row. And on the third night, it was really painful. I went home, took some medication, and tried to fall asleep. The next day, I started to have mild body aches. I took my temperature right before I was due to go into work again, and I had a spike fever. Right then and there, I knew I had COVID. It was very hard to say how I got it. By that point, I had tons of exposure to these patients. It was unclear whether it was the overall exposure or one incident with a critically ill patient. Nearly half of my resident class ended up contracting COVID, but not everyone had as severe symptoms as me. I didn't want to go to the emergency room because I was checking all of my vitals at home, and they were pretty much okay. But 3 days later, I found myself having respiratory distress. I became, I don't even know how you pronounce this word, tachypneic, meaning my respiratory rate was higher, like I was fighting to get more air, even though my oxygen levels were never that low. I lost my sense of taste and smell, and then my appetite just plummeted. I lost close to 13 pounds over that 2-week period because I didn't have an appetite. It got to a point where I had to go to the hospital Columbia campus for treatment. As I walked through the triage area, my coworkers looked horrified. I knew by their faces that I wasn't doing well. They placed me on a monitor and got IVs to get me some fluids because I was super dehydrated and put me on a little oxygen. I was hospitalized for 5 days. I used the time to reflect and be appreciative because there are so many people who are not as fortunate as me and could not bounce back from it. COVID has become a big eye-opener for all of us. There needs to be a big change within healthcare, and the way that we approach taking care of patients by getting in front of these things more rather than being on the defensive, especially when it comes to our minority communities. We've seen how COVID disproportionately affects the Black community. Adding to that, there's been a persistent disparity between the number of Black doctors and patients. If you go all the way back to the 1970s, the number of Black male applicants to medical schools has only declined, despite the growing patient population of minorities from low socioeconomic backgrounds. That speaks volumes, and it creates issues. What we have come to find is that these individuals are more vulnerable to healthcare-related problems. One, they may not have health insurance to get altogether. Two, they tend not to see a healthcare provider until the last minute because they try to deal with it themselves. And three, their lack of health literacy can make it hard for them to understand what their physician is saying. Honestly, I don't even think about the lack of minorities in medicine when I first decided to do it. I'm a first generation college individual. I grew up in Louisiana in a majority Black community, went to a majority Black institutions, including Xavier University of Louisiana and an HBCU in New Orleans. I chose LSU for medical school for kind of the complete opposite reasons that I chose Xavier initially. In addition to comparatively low tuition, I needed a taste of the real world. It's hard as a Black male physician. There are times when I walk into a room with a white colleague that could be a nurse or anyone else, and the patient automatically speaks to them thinking they are the physician. Or I've had incidents in which I walk into a patient's room and they ask, "Where are you going to take me?" your transport, right? It can weigh heavy on you. However, you have to take a step back and remember the reason that you've done this in the first place. For me, I love being in an emergency room where I don't know what's going to come in next, but everyone can't say the same. It weighs on people differently, especially with the climate we're all in, with all the injustice. I'm saddened by all of the hardship and hurt so many individuals have endured this year. I pray that we all continue to fight this fight together instead of separately, and come up with change, because the change is long overdue. COVID really affected so many people, whether that's other healthcare workers, essential workers, patients themselves, or the families that were affected. Because there were times when you as a provider had to make very, very tough choices about life or death. Like, if we put this individual on the ventilator, there's a very high chance they will never come off of it. We have to explain that to the patient and the family, which was hard coming from the emergency medicine side of things, because our perspective is to do everything we can to save their life. It was close to a month before I was able to return to work after contracting COVID. I've since moved back home to Lake Charles, Louisiana by way of Houston. It's a small community where I work, Lake Charles Memorial Hospital, but I'm happy I made the decision. I wanted to be around my family and friends and get the chance to indulge in some good home cooking that I haven't had in a while. So there's a lot of people who were saying that, mannequins in beds and things like that. Okay. This brother just said he was seeing highly impacted patients, man, every day. It kept increasing. Sick patients. Where are all these guys, all these people who were saying the thing was fake? And how did he end up with the symptoms?
Well, I mean, I'll speak on it. I'll just say I got sick first. I got sick on March 1st, 2020. Everything that gentleman just said, I'm up here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I did everything he said I had. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if my story, and it didn't take as long as he did. And I got pre-existing conditions. I have a breathing issue called sleep apnea. Okay. And I was vaping around that time, and there's a possibility based on something like that and whatever's in the air, because I wasn't around a bunch of people. I wasn't around a bunch of people at all, actually. I was in my house, so it didn't make any sense how I got sick, but I did. It took 5 days. I took Colada Silver, Terminate, because I felt it when I got sick. This happened to me in the military before when I was around a white guy. You know what I'm saying? I had got like something related to like SARS in 2014, and it was just being around him coughing. This is in Fort Carson. So I knew exactly what it was. So I went and got a whole kit, elderberry syrups from Zarsby's and everything. And that's what, it took. I thought I was going to be dead. I was hallucinating. It's real. Okay, so I'll give you that. It's real. But I talked to my family that's in Atlanta. They got sick. I talked to, my mom. My mom's in Orlando. She didn't get sick. I talked to my granny in Gainesville. She didn't get sick. I talked to my uncle in Orlando too. He did get sick. Now his kid got sick. Now, so only thing I can tell you is about my Florida bloodline and what's going on out there in Florida. I don't know where these numbers came from. And not only that, these spiking these numbers, I had somebody recently go out there 4 weeks ago, all through Miami, came back, they're in Atlanta, been there a long time, they're not sick. I'm not saying you're not getting sick from certain areas. This is my whole thing. At this point, we should know how many negative and how many positive. What's really the hot spot? When you put it on a map, the way they put it on the map, it looked like the whole southern coastal line got it. And then when you look at top of the United States, it's kind of vague. So I don't even know how to convey this to nobody. The only thing I could tell them is like, I had it, it'll kill you. I wouldn't want no children to get it, because one of the biggest parts about what I got was even when I was starting to get a little bit better, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't lay on my stomach. because you have suppressive breathing. So if you try to lay down, you're gonna get delirious. So you sleeping, standing up, and all this other kind of crazy stuff. And you start, dare I say this, you start thinking about committing suicide. Because and I know that sounds weak. I don't know why it happened to me, but it does happen. I thought I could watch TV, you know, and I can be like, oh, I'm gonna watch TV, and then you can't even focus on the shit. That's how you start getting delirious. And I digress. I just want to give clearance to, like, it is a real thing, and please, Black people, take it serious. But it's just so much conflicting information. I kind of don't even bring it up.
Yeah, let's go to Wacky Water O. Yeah, there's hand raised.
Yeah. Okay. As far as COVID-19 is concerned, and I have an aunt, and she told me that she knew several people who died from COVID-19. And not only that, but where I'm from, there's a legendary high school basketball legend in which a few months ago he passed away from COVID-19. And he was only about 47, 48 years old and passed away. So this is real. This is not fake. This is real. It's not a hoax. It's a real virus. People are dying.
Yeah.
So there's nothing fake about this virus. This is not a movie, folks. This is not a movie.
But it looked like a fucking movie. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They making it look more like a movie every freaking day. So people like me who got a testimony, they just write me off like, oh, you just a Me Too nigga. You just want to be able to say you had it too.
Or you probably just had the regular flu, and the doctors they conspired to make it seem as if it's COVID-19. They say that now. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists who are saying that now. But
yeah, the thing is, my main focus, I mean, other than the fact that this is a well-achieved brother for what he's for his age, he's younger than a lot of guys in the manosphere and put in a lot of work for his age. So I have to tip my hat to him. But based on his testimony, we would see upwards of 50 patients a day who were sick enough to be hospitalized. And it was about a month later that I started to develop these headaches. So he's seeing all of these sort of patients come in and out. He says it increased. It kept increasing. So where are all these patients coming from if it's not real? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that a lot of these people in the manosphere and these sort of circles would say, you know, it's all fake. It's all hype. This brother's a doctor, man, and he's saying otherwise. He's saying, yo, underserved communities, Black communities, are the hardest impacted by COVID. That's why he even got his medicine. Let's go to Dola. He has his hand. No, he doesn't have his hand raised. He did just enter the chat. Let's go.
Hey, fellas, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Yeah. This is very much a real virus and is extremely serious. Like I said before, the likelihood that this virus came out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology is extremely high. And I'm basing this off of the presence of a polybasic furin cleavage site in the virus RNA that should not be there. In the virus protein subunit. Essentially, this site is why the human cells, the ACE2 receptor cells in the lung, that the presence of this site is responsible for the infection on a human cell. This site, the polybasic furin cleavage site, which means it's made of multiple nucleotides, amino acid nucleotides. This should not be in this particular virus. There's no other virus in the family tree of cold virus that shares the same genes as SARS-CoV-2 that has a polybasic furin cleavage site. Scientists cannot explain as to how it got there. It's not a mutation because, again, a mutation only occurs when only one base pair is changed. You have 12 in a row. This is not a mutation. It's an insert. It was inserted there. No one can explain how this polybasic furin cleavage site got into the SARS-CoV-2 virus. This is how the virus injects its RNA into the human cell. If this polybasic furin cleavage site was not present in the SARS-CoV virus, it would not be able to infect the human body. Just like RTG13. RTG13 is one of the closest relative to SARS-CoV-2 from a genome perspective. RTG13 does not have the capability of infecting the human body because it does not have this site.
So I'm trying to understand what's your comment in relation to this article.
I'm just saying, as far as the seriousness of this virus, it is extremely serious. It has been engineered to interface with human cells.
Okay.
It has been sponsored by the NIH by the tune of $3.7 million. This is all documented. The head of the lab, Wuhan Institute of Virology, her name is Xizhang Li.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is what does that have to do with the article we just read?
Well, I was just basically piggybacking on the brother's story regarding him being in dire health, in addition to the other testimonies that have been brought up. And I was just basically piggybacking on the fact that this is a serious virus. So, I mean, I'm not 100% sure as far as the article. I'm not sure how that relates to the article, but I was just putting my 2 cents in on the topic.
Okay. Yeah, because what we're talking about here is a young Black man who became a doctor and has been battling COVID himself. And so that's the focus of this article. Being a doctor and a patient, right? He's on the front line and he's a victim. So that's the focus of this topic. We have DE Raptor on the panel as well. Shalom. Go ahead, Wacky Roto.
Yeah. So in regards to the article, these conspiracy theorists, they can't doubt the fact that a medical professional is sharing his experience in having the virus because he has nothing to gain out of lying. What does he have to gain out of lying about the situation? If that's what a conspiracy theorist would believe, if they would read this article, he has nothing to gain. So this guy's telling his truth, and he's using his truth to warn people to be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not fake. This is not a fake virus. This is not a hoax.
No, but if you let some of the guys who talk about the moon is made of cheese and space doesn't exist, and these guys would tell you otherwise, that there's no such thing. I don't believe it. I don't. I walk around at block parties all the time, man, and chicks be twerking in my face. I don't got no mask on, right? So that's what's been going around in the manosphere. But you have a brother who's a doctor, man, a very young one, man, on the front line. I'm curious to know how you became a doctor at 31, man. You have to really be accelerated, right? You have to be in college at what, 17?
Oh yes.
No. If you get out of college at 21 years of age, you go to medical school. You're out at 24, 25. All right, and then you do your residency and you get through. You're at about 30, 31 or so. That's about right.
Okay.
But Mike, I tell these doubters, right, about what went on a few months ago in New York City, in which Nagone could even back this up, where in the city, since every single hospital, private and public, was filled, So the city had to open sports stadiums and use them as hospitals in New York City.
They were using the Javits Center, fam.
The Javits Center also.
They were using Javits
the
Center.
U.S. Open, out in Flushing, Queens, and I think City Field.
Up in White Plains, they built tents outside of White Plains Hospital.
Yeah. But
it looked like Tent City. So that's what you're talking about. Yes, you are absolutely right.
Nagon, what about the Brooklyn Navy Yard, where the city set naval ships and use them as mobile hospitals?
Come on, fam.
I mean, why would the city spend money to bring naval ships and use them as mobile hospitals if this virus was fake? Come on,
talk about it.
Come on.
You see, folks are talking crazy. That's why when I sit here and I listen to people come up, you sit there saying, what the fuck are you people talking about? But then I can't, I sit back and have to look at it. I have to, put my reasoning cap on and say, okay, hold a second. I really can't get mad at this snapperhead. He's just talking. He's getting information from fucked up sources. That's what's fucking his setup.
Facebook, YouTube.
Medium and all this whack shit.
Can I speak on that right quick? I think you're talking about me, right?
No, we're not talking about you. No,
I provided a medium.
Not you. No, not you.
Well, no, I provided a medium article that was discussed.
Hey, Dollar, chill 1 second. We ain't talking about you because, quite frankly, you could be one of them. But fam, there are so many people. Alex Jones and these guys were out here saying, "Oh, it's a scam" and all this kind of crap. And people were looking at him, and then he ended up having to back away, saying, "Oh, it's not a scam." I mean, these guys had to back away. We're talking about people who have media power, people who could sit back and have millions of listeners, miscreants, fools. We ain't talking about you, man. You're a pitbull on the ass of the world. We're talking about fucking people out here who are talking crazy shit, who have millions of people listening to them. Seriously, I mean, this is a huge fucking problem.
Make your point.
This is a huge problem. That's all I'm saying. The information is out here. It's bad. It's bad information, and you have all kind of people who are getting this information, and they're running with it. That's the big problem. And just like my man was saying, here we are sitting here. Ships. We're using ships. The Javits Center and all that stuff overrun for a while. I mean, it's crazy. But people sitting there saying, "Oh, this is bullcrap. This is a lie."
All right.
Well, the only reason I asked is because you made reference to a Medium article.
Medium, you're not the only one, man.
Dollar, we got people with their hand raised. Let's go to
go ahead, man. Hey, thanks for having me on, fellas. Hey, I respect everything y'all brothers do. Y'all are a huge benefit for the Mansfield. Appreciate everything.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, brother.
All right, good night, man. Good night.
HVAC guy, you have your hand raised.
Yeah. Well, when I look at this article right here, with the black gentleman on there, we've had different races of people. White, I think East Indian, a black guy, many black nurses. The information, the black people have did their best, but I think that we're trying to inject too much science in a society that's just not used to having to cross-reference everything to everything to everything. We're kind of used to kind of giving it out. When they give it out, it's given out already, all that's figured out. But when, that's the problem. And I think it's, I commend this brother. Other people should do it. I talked to my cousin. She's a nurse practitioner at Orlando Health. I hate to tell you this, for whatever reason, Orlando got Florida. The numbers. The only thing I could tell you is that she just said that the hospital was just steady. The only people that was having problems was the older people in Florida, and they started getting flu-like, they started getting the COVID because this is the way she related to me. It's increasingly hot in Florida for some reason. It's hotter there this year than it's ever been before. And a lot of older people stayed in the house more. They ran the air conditioner more electrolytes got poured out. And before you know it, that's what they think it is because they see older. They don't see a young in Florida. See, and then when you have like a nurse out there talking to somebody in New York, they're beefing because maybe it's more hot out here. I mean, it's more prevalent out here than it is in Florida. And then it leaves the bottom line of when nobody is saying, hey, why is it more in New York than it is in Florida? Can you break this down? And then you got a president saying this, and you got the CD saying, hey, I don't know what he's talking about. So that's what I'm speaking to, is the confused tens of millions of people that won't believe this because there's no line of continuity that's strong enough for them to actually believe it. That's all.
All right, let's go to DE Raptor. DE Raptor, can you?
Shalom, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you now.
Hello?
We can hear you now.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, can anybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, what I was gonna say is that
turn off your feedback in the back.
too many people get too much information. It's like information overload because you got this internet where everybody can give their opinion about this thing. And some people are like the guy who just spoke. He's got a ton of data in medical terms that the average person don't understand. I mean, my son is a doctor. My mom was a nurse. My family is filled with people in the medical field. And me, I went to school. I learned dabble a little bit here. My ex-wife was in the field. But some of the language he was talking about just now, I don't understand myself. And that's what you got in the black community, people who don't even go to the doctor, really. You know, they know what a cold is. And their idea of a cold is like, I get a sore throat. So you got all this information, and people who are not accustomed to taking care of themselves, they getting lost. They're afraid to go to the doctor. I know because I've seen people who will not go to the doctor, even though I had a friend who died from pneumonia because he was afraid to go to the doctor. I never went to the doctor in my life, so I'm not going to the doctor now. I'll be well. A few days later, he's dead. Barbadian guy in New York. So we are people who disinformation, and you got the president of all people. I mean, president and Republican leaders that are the governors of state, you know, and you here in Florida, yeah, it's hot, it's rainy and all that, but you got a lot of old people who are not wearing their masks. They're going out, they're meeting with family members. For the love of me, I went to a store, I was talking about this on Black Brain Trust. A few weeks ago, I went to the store and three of us have masks on and all these older people walking around kissing the dog, this little puppy inside that place. Everybody, every woman I see inside there kissing that dog. And the men passing the dog around themselves. So people are passing this stuff on and they're insisting, you know what, I don't have to wear a mask. These old people are the ones you see fighting with Walmart employees and all that to not wear a mask. On airplanes, they refuse to wear a mask sitting beside somebody. And there's a lot of older generation. So this foolishness is, I mean, black people are following these people. Because I've listened to people on the internet, black men, you know, talking about, you know, this is not a real disease and, you know, caused by 5G and oh my goodness. Anyway, that's the only comment I make, man. This brother is doing a good job on the tough condition. And my prayers for him, just like I pray for my son. I call him, man, how you doing? Just for the hell of it, because he's working in a hospital. He's a doctor, and he's working in a hospital in Tennessee, Kentucky. You know, Pennsylvania. And I'm always on him, yes, you, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Because I know this thing can get you. And he said that some of the people he worked with came down on it. When they tested them, they had to put them, they couldn't come to work. So that's my comment.
All right. Last item on the docket, again, which was the first item on the docket. We will.
Yes.
I don't know what that was about, but we'll go back to the first item on the docket and basically cover this video one more time and go back to the GoFundMe page, and then we'll close out, man.
6 feet in front of you, it beeps. How do you turn it off?
Well, I mean, no, you just have to switch this.
Okay, so that's how you turn it off. So this is basically a machine that you made to monitor people are staying at least 6 feet away from each other, right?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, this is Sam, the social awareness machine, and well, I mean, Sam usually is like it keeps you apart from like someone from 6 feet, or else it ends up annoyingly beeps and screams at you with unpleasant sounds. So, okay. So basically, if I just turn, there it is. So if you just turn it on, if you're walking near someone or something, it's then gonna go off or whatever.
So
depending on how close I am.
if something's 6 feet in front of you, it beeps. How do you turn it off?
Well, I mean, no, you just have to switch this.
Okay, so that's how you turn it off. So this is basically a machine that you made to monitor people are staying at least 6 feet away from each other, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm gonna post it on the community tab as well, with the link to the GoFundMe. Make sure you all hit that link as well and share it with other people. He should have $100,000. You got people collecting money for documentaries that ain't never going nowhere, collecting $200,000 for that, but you can't get this, this hero right here, the future of the community. You can't even get him up to 20. It's shameful, man. It's really shameful, man.
Exactly.
Guys are spending big super chat money to get a wrench, but won't put nothing in this young man's coffins, man.
Even worse, you have cats who think they're quote unquote red pill, and they'll pay big super chat money for any good looking female who's creating content, no matter what she's talking about.
Yeah.
But yet they can't put a dime in this brother's education. Come on now.
Yeah. It's amazing some of the stuff that you see around here,
But we all supposed to be the thinking black man, right? We're supposed to be the good black man, right? Well, when I mean we, I'm not talking about us right here, right now, but in the black manosphere.
Mm-hmm. No, just they're thinking about something else, but not this though. This dude should have 100,000 in his GoFundMe. Okay, he should have 100,000 up in there.
Yeah,
his future should be set. Well, what about his father? Man, I'm not gonna go into it, man. There's so many guys out here, man. So many people. They claim to support brothers, man, but in reality, they don't really care like that, man.
No, they don't.
Yeah. Anyways, man. Thank you all for joining us, and please hit the like button if not already done so, and share the video if possible. And make sure you check the community tab for the new updates that's going to be on there. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.